Yeah. Let's go. We just gotta go hard. I go the hardest. I bring the pain. Not what you used to. It's all part of the game. Yeah, I just gotta go hard. I just gotta go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Yeah. Oh yeah, the beat's back. Adrenaline pumping through my veins. Can't relax. Original. I am not the same as these kids.
Welcome to this Monday edition of Pucks Across Borders on Pucks Across Borders YouTube and Total Apex Sports on Twitter, X, whatever. I've just come to I'm just gonna call it Twitter. I try and I fail every single time. Thank you so much for joining us. It's good to be back. We have been off for a month, and this is our second podcast in 2 days. Before we get started, as always, let you know we are brought to you by First Round Collectibles. Right now, with our promo code Sports Addict, get 10% off whatever sports card you want in the entire First Round Collectibles store. They have an ongoing sale up to 50% off selected cards, and with our promo code Sports Addict, not only do you get 10% off of regular priced items, but sales items as well. That's up to 60% off selected cards with promo code Sports Addict. Go to first-round-collectibles.com today. Use promo code Sports Addict for 10% off your order. And of course, we're on totalapexsports.com on their Twitter account. Check out Total Apex Sports. I mean, listen, basketball playoffs, full swing. Right, the hockey playoffs, full swing. Baseball's in full swing, no pun intended. Go to totalapexsports.com and check out all of their content. Today, the Islanders beat writer for the Hockey Writers, and I know you write. Listen, I would love to list off everything that you write about, but every day you're putting out something different, so I can't keep up with you. Mike Fink, how we doing on a Monday? Thank you so much. Oh, and of course, host of the Ice Time podcast on thehockeywriters.com. So good to have you, man. Thanks for joining me.
It's my pleasure. It feels weird being on the guest side of things because
right?
I'm used to like spilling my guts out as a host, and like I had to be quiet for the first minute of there. I was like, when am I going to just burst out and say like, hey, how's it going, man? But yeah, it's great. It's great being on. Great. Finally being on the guest side of things, and excited to talk about the playoffs. It's that time of year. This is what we live for,
dude. And it's so funny you say that because I'm going on a podcast later tonight, and I was thinking the same thing today. I'm like, when was the last time? Like, I've been a guest a handful of times, but and maybe it's an issue that I need to talk to my therapist about. Like, I just like being in control of the situation. You know what I mean? Like, I just like having the buttons and whatever. But no, man, it's great to have you. So for everybody watching, whether it's now or later before puck drop, we really appreciate it. I just want to let everybody know, I said this on Saturday. If you did not watch the playoff preview, you should. It's only day 3. You can still go back, watch the preview with Jim Behringer, who joined me from Full Press. Me and Andre is still a part of Pucks Across Borders. We still love each other, kids. Don't worry. We're together. It's okay. The whole podcast has been off because my daughter was born a month and a bit ago, and was in the hospital for the whole month. She's home now. Everything's beautiful. She's beautiful. And Andre's kitchen caught on fire, and he's been living in a hotel. So March was just a tire fire for all of us. But he is around. He will be around. He sent me his pics. I will say his picks. He also sent me his picks for the whole playoffs, for the rounds, for the first round, and I completely forgot to give them last week, so I will give those out today as well. But Mike, what we do on this show, first and foremost, we will quickly go over what happened this weekend in the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. On Saturday, the St. Louis Blues lost 5-3 against the Winnipeg Jets. The Avalanche won 5-1 in what was, in like my opinion, was not a 5-1 hockey game, but that was the final score. Yesterday the Hurricanes rolled over the New Jersey Devils 4-1. Maple Leafs rolled 6-2, and the Vegas Golden Knights beat the Wild 4-2. So out of all those games, both days over the weekend, what was your takeaway from the playoffs over the weekend? It can be Saturday, it can be Sunday. Maybe it's not even about a game. Maybe it's something completely different. What was your takeaway from the weekend that was?
I'm trying to find a good takeaway in the sense that there's a few broad takeaways about like, oh, all the games in general, or there's only been 5. That's the first takeaway. So like,
Yeah,
kind of hard to say
weird schedule, right?
Going to look like when we've only seen 5 games and they're all a game 1 type of game. So you have no idea if this is what this is going to look like. Which teams bounce back, which teams might run away with their first round matchups. The first takeaway is that these are a lot of them are kind of lopsided games. I think obviously I'd want to pinpoint on the Senators versus the Maple Leafs. That's the one that everyone's pinpointing. I think the big takeaway though, when in terms of one individual game, is the Devils Hurricanes one. I realized how Devils looked offensively, just how much of a non-factor they were. I think they had like 4 shots on, they had 5 shots on net in the first period, and I think they ended up the game 15 shots, 14. It was very low, and they're not getting possession, they're not getting shots, and there's not a lot going on there. And I mean, I would think they make it a series. I would hope that they give the Hurricanes a chase there, but it looked like the game could have been 3-0 at the end of the first period. I think it was only 1-0, but it ended 5-1 or something like that. And it felt that way. And that, because a lot of these games you mentioned, whether it was the Jets Blues, where it was close and it felt that way, or the Avalanche Stars, where that one was a blowout, but it felt closer than a blowout. It was 3-1, and then the empty net goals / the late goals kind of made the score look more lopsided.
Yeah.
That game looked one-sided. I'm kind of concerned for how the Devils look, because it does not look good offensively. And without Jack Hughes, it looks that way, and you're starting to see it.
Yeah, and we knew without Jack Hughes that was obviously going to be a problem. However, he's been out forever. Like, this isn't like he got injured in the final week of the season. It's like, oh no, what are we going to do with Jack Hughes? Like, by now you should know who you are without him, in my opinion. And you're 100% right, dude. Like, they looked unprepared. Like, they looked like they had no idea what was coming for them. And I'm a Sheldon Keefe guy. I'm not, this isn't an attack on him. I think he's a wonderful coach. I just felt like Jacob Markstrom showed up. He also took his own guy out. That's a whole other conversation. But I just felt like, they just didn't look prepared. And it's like really funny, Mike, because I've been really stubborn on the Carolina Hurricanes dating back to September. Like, I picked them to miss the playoffs. I still don't really know what I'm watching. Like, they have these super dominant stretches, but their goaltending also, I don't really trust it. Like, Freddie the Goat can be incredible, but also cannot be. And I just don't really know what I'm looking at. So I picked the Devils to win in 7 games. And that's the fun part about predictions, is you make these predictions and then you watch one game and you're like, they're going to get completely swept. This isn't, I'm not even going to be close.
I was watching the first 2 periods of that game, and I think when it was 3-1 or 4-1 or something, it might have been 3-0. It was something I was like, well, it's time to take a nap, because I was like, there's no way the Devils are coming back. And just if they know what they are, they're a team that wins with defense, but they're not going to win this series when they don't have the puck. I mean, it's as simple as that. You can't win when you don't have hockey. Sometimes feels like a simple game, just made complicated by us. But it just felt that way. You're not going to win if you don't have the puck. I mean, this is not necessarily the Hurricanes are ready to take that big leap. They're kind of the same team, and I feel like we kind of feel that way when we look at the big picture. It's just that I was surprised that just the Devils know what they are now at this point, and you still look at them and you're like, yeah, it doesn't really look that close of a series, it seems like.
And it does feel like the type of series where they have to win one in Carolina. Like in the first two games. Like obviously in the stretch of the whole series they have to, but I mean in the first two games it feels like they need to win one of these, and it's I wouldn't say it's even close to the Dallas conversation, because I do think Dallas, like, this is a must-win game tonight. But Dallas, I have the confidence in. If they're down 2-0, Colorado probably still wins that series, but I do have the confidence that Dallas can come back and make something of it, where if the Devils are down 2-0, it's pretty much curtains.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what other team you could say that. Like, how many teams that if they go down 0-2, you're like, oh yeah, the series is over. I mean,
Yeah.
Dallas is going to be concerned. It's going to be concerning where you're looking at them. Depending on how they lose, it's probably that's the big thing. Is that game one, it was close, but the Avalanche didn't really. The Avalanche never trailed. The Avalanche were controlled things for the most part, and you could tell they are lacking offense. So it's like if they lose again, where they not put the puck on net, or they're not getting those scoring generating offense, where you could tell they're missing those playmakers, then you could say, okay, the series might end. But I honestly think Dallas is more talented, especially offensively, that you're not going to worry about that. And the same thing with all these other teams, where if they're going to lose game two to fall down in the series 0-2, whether it's the Blues or the Senators, whoever it is, that if they're losing game two, it's not going to be where they score one goal or they get 5 shots in a first period or whatever it is. They're not going to be hapless offensively, and that gives you more hope. It gives you more optimism when you know that. And I don't know. I don't want to say just offense matters here, because defense matters too. But it's the fact that you need when games get high scoring, you need to go toe to toe with another team. You need to be able to go. You need to match goals with goals, and the Stars maybe can do that. A few of these teams, these wild card teams, can do that. The Devils, I don't see it right now, and there maybe some other team will also start to look that way, but it's a little early, so it's too hard to tell.
Yeah, and like, listen, like the Devils have people who can score goals. Like, just because Jack Hughes is out, you still have Nico Hischier, you still have Jasper Bratt, you still have guys like that can do it. We'll see what happens. I personally, this is the series for me, and the TV schedule like tells you that I'm right. This is the one series that I'm just like, I only think you care about this if you're a fan of one of these two teams or you cover this market. Like, yeah. I don't know if like you follow football at all, but it's
the same thing. I had the same thought.
It reminds me of the Houston Texans, where like I swear to you, the Houston Texans could make it to the Super Bowl and they will be 1:00 on a Saturday. Like, that's just how it is with that, and that's how I kind of feel like the NHL is treating this series.
I was genuinely surprised the Hurricanes Devils weren't playing that Saturday at like 1 p.m. Like, yeah. It's that them and the Stars get that treatment too a bit, where it's sometimes. If the NHL could schedule them at 11 a.m., they would.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, 3:00 yesterday, and I think isn't puck drop like 5 or 6 o'clock tomorrow? Which 6 o'clock, I'm pretty sure it's like early, but yeah. So
the crazy thing is that Vegas versus Minnesota, which you have to double check this.
Gosh,
it starts at 11 p.m.
I know, that's insane. Like, it's insane, and I understand that in the U.S. both networks are also covering the NBA playoffs, and there's all like, I understand why it is what it is, but it doesn't mean it's less stupid. Like, dude, like Dallas game tonight, it's in Dallas. That's not a West Coast time zone. Like, it's a 9:50 p.m. puck drop. 9:50. Like I have kids. Like I gotta like leave my house at like 6:30 tomorrow morning. Like, what are we doing here? But so for me, man, I'm like yourself, I'm kind of going back and forth between like different takeaways. I think like the Winnipeg St. Louis. That was a fascinating game. Really, really good, fast-paced first game to kick off the playoffs. I thought that was perfect. I thought that it was very poetic that the whole conversation surrounding the Jets, they go out, they win the President's Trophy or the President's Trophy. Yeah, they win it. But Connor Hellebuck in the playoffs. Winnipeg in the playoffs. And that is rightfully so. Like, they've earned that. Like, I'm not saying that's wrong. But Washington's having the same conversation right now, right? Yeah. They barely made the playoffs last year. They have this terrific bounce back season, and nobody believes in them. And not nobody, but you get my point.
Yeah,
I found it fascinating to me, and I actually wrote about this for the Hockey Writers, that you have, like, Connor Hellebuck allowed 3 goals and 10 shots. Like, this is Colorado all over again. Like, your head is falling off your body, and you got the white out and the towels, and it's like, oh my gosh, like, what is about to happen? Mm-hmm. And I thought they did a perfect job of, even though they were losing 3-2 for like half an hour in like game time, half an hour, I thought that they were the better team for the most part. And they just kept going, really defensively sound. From the minute that Jordan Kyrou scored to like the minute that the game was done, I think they allowed like 7 shots, something like that, for the rest of the game. And then Kyle Connor, and guys in Toronto, we all know this conversation. Your big boys in the playoffs got to be the big boys. Kyle Connor, 90 seconds left, boom, 4-3. And I just thought that was a huge statement by Winnipeg, just to say that, hey, listen, because last year when they played Colorado, everyone remembers game 2, 3, 4, 5, and them, allowing all of these goals. Let's not forget that Winnipeg beat Colorado 7-6 in game 1. It wasn't like it was like a 5-0 shutout. Like, you know what I mean? And so I thought that was a really, really great performance by Winnipeg to just be a little bit leaky for the first, 21 minutes and just lock it down and play Winnipeg Jets hockey. I thought that was, I think they kind of needed that, like, get kind of punched in the mouth a little bit. I don't know. Okay, boys, this year's different. Let's lock it down and let's go get them. I thought that was a perfect final, whatever, 39 minutes or whatever the math adds up to be, of that game on Saturday.
I think that's kind of how the Jets season has played out so far, where it's this doubt. Everyone has this doubt about how good this team is. And the Jets have this belief of, if we're trailing, this isn't the same as last season, where we're going to be fine. And we can go on a run, or we can, if we're down 3-2, which is what happened this in game 1, they're not going to hit the panic button. And I think what we're seeing this season with the Jets, we're going to see this playoff run possibly, is that they're a team that is not going to be like the stage is too big for them, where they've been here before, sort of thing, where they know, okay, if we're playing these high scoring games, we're not going to fizzle out and fall apart. My big takeaway, oddly enough, was that I didn't have, 2-2 at the end of the first period. I did not have that on my bingo card or any betting place, because it was like, the Blues allow only 2.7 goals per game. The Jets only allow 2.3. I was like, this is a low score. This has low scoring game written all over it. But I think it's more, it says a lot for the Jets that if you're going to win in the playoffs, you need to prove that you can win high scoring games. I think we just said that about the Devils, and we said it about all these teams. You need to prove that you can obviously shut down the other team and win those 1-0, 2-1 type of games. The Jets know they can do that. But prove that when the game becomes a high scoring, back and forth type of game, you can still win that game. It was very telling that they were able to prove that they could do that. And to their credit, they also, on top of that, they clamped down. And after allowing that third goal, they went, 28 minutes or something like that without allowing a goal. So their defense did their part as well. So it's like that was a big win for the Jets. I think seeing how they play in game 2 is going to be interesting because you could really see if like, okay, maybe this is their year if they build off of this, which I think they could.
And I hope everybody hears what I'm saying. My co-host and I always battle because he's a Rangers guy, so he thinks that Shesterkin is the best goalie in the league, and that's fair. You can't argue. It's all opinion what you think who's the best goalie in the league or whatever, unless you say that like, you know, Charlie Lindgren's the best goalie in the league, and then it's like, okay, you know that isn't true. No offense to Charlie Lindgren, really helped out my fantasy team last year, so like love the guy, but. You know what I mean? Like you say, like I say Hellebuck, you say Shesterkin, like, okay, that's fine. We can all like think those things. I think Hellebuck is the best goaltender in the National Hockey League. That's my opinion. Yeah. However, so I'm not comparing him like to Darcy Kemper. However, I feel like Hellebuck's success with Winnipeg is similar to how goaltenders go to Los Angeles and just are awesome because of the way they play defense and the quality of chances that they give up. And that's what I really saw on Saturday was not only did listen, Hellebuck can make some crazy like Dominic Hasek saves. He can do it. But when he's at his best is when he doesn't have to. And Winnipeg locks it down defensively like they did Saturday. So that's exactly, if your goaltender is having a like tough time, then make sure he gets shots that aren't like crazy, right? Like make sure like you limit those chances. So I thought that was a really good game 1, and I'm curious to see what happens tonight, and I'm curious to see what you think about what happens tonight. The other thing, just to kind of quickly touch on, just because Colorado and Dallas are playing game 2 tonight, so we can touch on that game on Saturday night a little bit when we talk about that game. But the Ottawa-Toronto game, I'm very curious about this because I was actually talking with Jim about this on Saturday. One of my biggest concerns from an Ottawa perspective, and listen, we all know the Leafs, we all know the, you know, one playoff win in the last like 9 straight playoff rounds, and I'm 35, and the last time like they've only won 1 round since I was like 15. Like, we get it. But from the Ottawa perspective, one big concern of mine, I feel like everyone's been hyping up like Brady Tkachuk is like, he's in the playoffs now, like now's his time, and you saw him at the 4 Nations and now's his time. And I think Brady Tkachuk is an incredible player, and I think once this team consistently goes to the playoffs, this guy is going to be a beast in the postseason. I think he was built for the postseason, much like his brother, much like his dad. They're built for playoff hockey. But one big concern for me with Brady Tkachuk was this guy is a live wire. Like, his emotions are running so hot. And I really felt like there could be the chance that first playoff game, he's just going to try to make like some crazy difference so hard that it's probably going to hurt the team. And you didn't necessarily see that like just from him. But I felt like the whole Senators team took on that persona on like last night, that they were just trying to do so much. And yes, can be complaints about the refs and blah, blah, blah. Bottom line is, you can't give the Toronto Maple Leafs 6 power plays. Even if their power play has sucked in the last like 9 like postseasons, you just can't do that. And so that was one concern that I had for Ottawa, and I think that the Leafs looked great. I thought that Stolarz looked great. Obviously, the big boys rolled, and they had some depth as well. But I thought it was the carelessness of Ottawa that really sunk them last night.
It's interesting. I mean, there's a few thoughts about that, because I think the big thing is you look at game one, where aside from just being the inexperienced team in the playoffs, which the Senators are the inexperienced team, it was they were just overexcited for that first game. The energy was too high, and you realize you go through these growing pains when like you're so excited for the playoffs and you're really ready to go, and the whole team, it wasn't just Kachuk, but it was the whole team was just playing with this energy. It's a young team with all this energy, and they took penalties. They obviously, the penalties were the big story, which they took a lot of them. They were playing from behind. They were chasing the game early. I think the other takeaway from this game, because I still think that it's hard to judge the Senators off this one, because this one got out of hand fast. And all of a sudden they were chasing the game. And it's hard to evaluate a team when they're playing where they're not playing their type of hockey. They're chasing the game. They're playing out of touch. And it felt that way once the penalties started coming in and they were trailing and all that stuff. I think this says more about maybe we're seeing a different type of Maple Leafs team. And I think it's always easy to overreact and say, oh, the Maple Leafs are better. This is their year because they won game one, or this is their year because they look different. There are some small things where once you look at them, you say, okay, this is a different Maple Leafs team.
Yes.
This is a better Maple Leafs team than previous ones. The old school part of me says that Craig Berube is a head coach where he's not bringing X's and O's to this team, but they're playing playoff hockey. They've been playing playoff hockey the whole season. He has them playing that way. And you could tell the moment's not too big for them. They look like the more experienced team. It showed on the ice. I think, and then you look at other small things. I mean, obviously, all the hockey hipsters are going to talk about him, but not enough people are going to talk about him otherwise. Chris Tanev has been a great player. He's been a great player all season. This is the playoffs, or when he gets like 25 minutes ice time. He eats up pucks. You watch him during the games, and he's not going to have crazy stats. He's not going to score. He's not going to have assists. He's not going to move the puck up the ice, but he's going to eat up pucks in the defensive zone. He's going to block shots. He's going to create turnovers. He's going to move the puck to someone who's going to bring it out of the offensive zone. He's the type. You add him in. I don't know if Oliver Ekman-Larsson played a lot of time, but he's another player they added in this season. But
big.
You look at them, but you look at them, and they're a better defensive team. And you notice that in this game, and you notice that over the course of the season, and it gives you a lot of reason to believe that this group is different. Offensively, are they much different? Not necessarily, but do they need to be? I don't think so. If they could win, I mean, they have the skill offensively to maybe run up the score on some teams, which they need to do. But the fact is they have a better defense. They're playing the classic two-way hockey, the 200-foot game. You see that a lot also. So I think that's the big takeaway. It's one game, so it's hard to really read too much into it. And I think the Senators are the type of team that will give them problems because they are a tough team to play against. Whether they're the better team or not, I don't think they're the better team, but they are a tougher team to play against. So that will factor into it. But I think the big takeaway, if we are going to take away anything from game one, it's that the Maple Leafs, like this might be a different team. How much whether different means that they're a cup caliber team or not is a different conversation. But I think you notice that they do look different in these games.
Yeah, and like I've been saying this for a lot of the year, specifically from like February onward, is that I am a Leaf fan, and we were talking about this pre-show, like I watch this whole league every single night. I watch like all these games, and I have been saying this for the last few months that this Leafs team, they are 100% a different team, and they are ready for the playoffs. I thought that it was imperative that they won the division. If you watch this show, you've heard me say it a million times. Not just so that they can not play Tampa or Florida, or at the beginning of the season, we're talking about like, Boston, right? But just play somebody different. Play somebody where there's no demons. There's no, like, what happened, you were up, 4-1 with 10 minutes left. Like, nothing like that. Like, just a brand new team. brand new blood. But where it really, really clicked for me was the night that they clinched the division last week, Tuesday night or Tuesday in Buffalo. I've been watching the Leafs for a very long time. They lose that game 9 out of 10 times. They lose that game. The old Leafs team, a chance to clinch the division. You're in Buffalo. Buffalo sucks. Now's the time. They lose that game. And they didn't, and they won like 4-0 or something. And then the next night is their 2 nights later, they're playing Detroit. Last game of the year. Salary cap reasons, they can't rest anybody. They got to play everybody. They're down 3-1. They come back and they win. It's like, why? You don't need to. But it's just, there's just something different about this team, and I'm right there with you. And I just want to say one quick thing, Mike. I have no problem with Sportsnet up here in Canada, TSN, Sportsnet, whatever. I thought Sportsnet, for those of you watching who watch the Canadian broadcast, I thought Sportsnet did Mitch Marner so dirty last night because, okay, so what happened was all this conversation all year long with the Leafs is regular season is a formality. They're going to get 100 points. They're going to get to the playoffs. What matters is the playoffs. Yes, they have better goaltending, but goaltending hasn't been the problem come postseason. Yes, they have better defense, but defense hasn't really been the problem come postseason. What the problem is, their power play sucks, and the big guys don't score. Mitch Marner goes out last night, 3 points. And then you have Matthews, 2 points, Tavares, 2 points, Nylander, 2 points, Matthew Knight scores. I think Matthews had like 6 shots on net. So did Tavares. Sportsnet posts a thing that shows the playoff history of Mitch Marner from games 1-4, and he has like 47 points in 35 games 1-4 or something like that. And then side by side, they show his stats from game 5-7, and it's like 9 points in however many games. And it's like, it's game 1. This guy is dominating this game. Why are we throwing him under the bus already? Can we just wait until they lose before we do that? Like, I just thought those guys played so well last night. Like, let's not worry about game 7 right now. Like, come on.
It just seems like that's the story with the Maple Leafs all the time, where it's like, it doesn't matter how well they start. It's just a matter of, will they be able to finish it strong? I think we're talking about whether you believe that this team was a good team or not. For me, I don't watch the Leafs like all the time. I'm not in the market, and I don't watch like a local team. I try to watch like as much hockey as I can. I watch the league as a whole. Early on in the season, I think the big thing was when Austin Matthews went down, because when you lose him, and they were not playing well offensively. I think it was like they're averaging 2.9 goals per game, below the 3-goal mark. They were still winning games, and they're winning with defense. And when you see that, you start to see, okay, this is a different team, and you're starting to see that. And we're in the playoffs now. And obviously, no one will believe them until they finish the job, but it's off to a good start right now. And that's the big take.
100%. Well, with that, let's move on to tonight's slate. 4 games in the NHL tonight. And all of these picks, as always, brought to you by First Round Collectibles. Use promo code SportsAddict for 10% off your order. All right. First game, the Montreal Canadiens. Shout out to Montreal, by the way. I'm so happy for you guys. I'm so happy for your fans. I got like really good friends who are Montreal fans. My grandmother, rest her soul, diehard Habs fan. She's in heaven, I hope. That's a joke. Doesn't matter. Looking down, cheering on her Habs. Great times. And I'll say this. I know that I'm from Toronto and I'm not supposed to say that. Nothing, and I know that they're not like they're in like Washington tonight. Nothing beats a night in the playoffs in Montreal. Like that vibe of that Bell Center game 3. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I also think that's just a different note that you have Washington as the capital of the United States versus Montreal. Just a little bit of it's going to be an interesting home crowd, I think, for sure in Montreal. But yeah, fun game. I guess I got to make my pick,
right? So let's just lay this out real quick. Montreal plus, it was plus 160 when I typed this in. Now plus 155. Again, all of these odds, not courtesy, they're just from FanDuel. But if any other sports book wants to sponsor this show, I will throw FanDuel through the window. If anybody, if anyone wants to sponsor us, I will use any sports book. I don't care. But this is FanDuel plus 155. The Capitals were minus 194. They're minus 188 as of now. Minus 1.5 for Washington's plus 134. Plus 1.5 for the Canadians, minus 164. The over is 5.5 at minus 132. And the under is plus 108. Mike, what do you see in this game? Montreal in Washington, game 1.
I don't like in terms of betting on this, I don't like the odds I'm getting, even though the line is moving down. I don't like the odds on Washington. Generally, you want to see, I guess if you're getting minus 150 as a favorite, you'll take that with Washington, just because you're not getting a lot with a 190, a 180 payout. I mean, the line is moving downward, so I do like that, where if I were to take, because I think if Washington wins this game, they win by a goal, you want to take them without having to worry about the spread. You just don't want to have to worry about them covering. I would, just because I don't like either. Like one of my favorite bets would be the Capitals, where you give them a goal, where you give them that extra cushion, just because I think they can lose by 1 goal. They can make this a close game, but I don't really like the money lines on any of these, or the team. I don't like the teams. I think you said the over under is 5.5, or is it?
Yeah.
It's 5.5. I like the over on that, just because we saw through the first 5 games, a lot of goals are coming in. Goals have been down this season, but goals have been up to start the first round. They usually the playoffs start out with a lot of goals, and then they trend downward, just like a rule of thumb. So this is where you can bet the over on a 5.5. It's a low total. Both offenses have been good this season. They've been led by their offenses. Goaltending is questionable in this game, with Logan Thompson and I guess Montembeault is starting, or whoever. Goaltending is questionable. You like both offenses. I know the Capitals have struggled offensively recently, but that's a good line. I like the over there. If you want to get a little fancy or spicy, I don't know what word you want to use, take an alternate total where you get 6.5, because you can bet the over on that. You get better odds, a better payout. But that's the best. If I were to look at one bet, I would say the over on this game is a good bet. 5.5, especially all things considered. That's just the one that I like I would circle on. If I need to pick a team just so we can hold it against me, I'll do Capitals money line, but I don't get a good payout on that. So I just think it's going to be one of those like 4-3 type of games where you're not going to win, and if you bet on any of these, you're not going to get a good payout, or you're not going to win if you make a bet here. But you bet the over, I think you're going to get good odds on it, and it's a good payout, I think.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. The over, just so you have it, the over 6.5 is plus 126. So those are like terrific odds. I think I lean the over as well. My pick here, and I typically don't like the juice. I'm not betting enough money for this to be worth my while, but to your point, Montreal plus 1.5 is minus 164. That is a little bit too juicy for me, minus 164, but I like the plus 1.5 if I have to go that way. I'll also say, I have to pull it back up here. I had it. The 60-minute money line, so no overtime, is minus 120 for Washington and plus 230 for Montreal. It's also plus 340 to go to overtime if you want to be that spicy. But minus 120 is a much more manageable money line cost. But again, if it goes to overtime, then you're cooked. And I think this series, we were talking about it on the weekend, I think this series is going to be closer than people think. Can you hear me okay, by the way? I just went down to my
hear you. I mean, on your note though, on that note, I think what's interesting is that the Canadians look like they could split the first 2 games. So if they lose tonight, they're gonna have great odds for game 2. And you can bet the underdog there, get good payout. They're the type of team that I would watch closely in game 1 just to see if they lose this game, you're gonna get good odds on them next game, and they could possibly even up the series. And I think they are gonna take 1 or 2. If they win tonight, then maybe then none of this applies. But I think it's just an interesting thing to monitor, I think, go looking ahead. And I think on the other one, the other thing I would add is just that this is the type of game you could see the Canadians battling back, where they're down 3-1, and then they score 2 late goals, and then all of a sudden it goes to overtime, and your no overtime bet gets thrown out the window type of situation.
Yeah. So one of my favorite bets all year long was Cole Caulfield 4+ shots on goal. I felt like that was just money all year long. It is the playoffs. Shots on goal are typically down, and we saw that for the most part over the weekend, except for the Carolina, New Jersey disaster. Cole Caulfield 3+ shots is -114. So I really like that one. I generally I don't really like goal scoring props for the playoffs, just because in playoffs you need those just random goals that, Lekanen has like a Lionel Messi kick, into the top corner. But I really do like Cole Caulfield 3+ shots on goal as well. Also, and I have to I got to apologize to my guy, Andre, because he did give me his series picks. So I got to give those at the end, because he gave it to me on Saturday and I forgot to give him out. But he did give me tonight. He's thinking the other way, bro. My guy, Andre, for all you watching who know Andre, he is thinking Caps -1.5. So that's his pick for tonight. All right. Moving on, do you have a final thought?
No, I mean, I wasn't thinking player props here. I don't like any goal scoring props here, just because I feel like this is the type of game where you can see depth scoring. In a game where you're going to get some top 6 scorers, you want to bet anytime goal scorers on. But in this one, I wouldn't want to touch that. I mean, one of the ideas is you always compare like Dylan Strome with whether it's Dubois or whatever. You try to get like 2 of them and hope one of them scores. But this is the type of game where you could see a lot of depth scoring / like a deflected puck on net into the goal. I would just avoid that. Maybe bet the under on saves if you can get that, just because you could easily see a scenario where one of these goaltenders gets pulled, or they just don't face a lot of shots, and that can get you that under, which would be very favorable, I think. But other than that, I would avoid the props on this one.
Yeah. No, fair enough. All right, moving on to game 2, St. Louis and Winnipeg. We did talk about game 1 in the previous block. St. Louis, let me just make sure this is the same. So yeah, it is still +160 for St. Louis, -194 for Winnipeg. Very similar to the Montreal and Washington odds, which I think St. Louis and Winnipeg are closer than Montreal and Washington is, but that's a whole different conversation. -1.5 for Winnipeg is +138, +1.5 for St. Louis, -170. The over 5.5 +124, and the under is -152. I'm gonna let you go. Don't be alarmed. I gotta make your face big. I gotta fix something with my camera. So just when you see your whole face on the screen, don't be alarmed. It's all you. What do you got tonight? St. Louis in Winnipeg, game 2.
Well, I feel like I buried the lead by talking about with the Canadians saying they're going to split the first 2, and if you want good odds, if the Canadians lose game 1 and you could bet game 2, and you're gonna get a good payout on that. The Blues feel like a similar situation where they lost game 1 And you feel they could even up the series here, where they played a very close game in game one, and they could have easily won that. They were up 3-2. So I like the money line on this plus 160. That's a great payout. I mean, the Jets, they're the better team all season, but this is one of those situations where you could see them evening up the series, and this is the best chance. This is the best odds you're going to get for the best chance of an upset. I like that line, the plus 160. I also would bet the under. This is like the evening out type of game, where game one was a high scoring game. It felt like a fluke. It felt like an oddity, considering both teams are led by their defenses. And that one, the over covered. The Jets won that game. They ended up covering the spread with the empty net goal. But this is the type of game where you see them things even out a bit more. And the Blues possibly pull the upset. So I like them, the money line. That's the best bet I think you get on the night. Then I like the under. I think this is one game where, again, things even out. Defenses control the game. Both teams are led by their defenses. So expect that element of things to even out. And if they're in terms of player props, if you can look for points, that I would say look for points from the defense of the Blues. So try to bet the over on maybe Philip Broberg, if you could get like the over under on half a point from him, or over under on half a point from Cam Fowler. You look at the Blues are going to generate offense from the blue line. If you can get good odds there, bet two of them maybe, and you could see if you can get a good payout there. There's always that strategy when it comes to player props, is you bet two goal scorers to score, and if one of them hits, you end up with a good payout. So you just to watch out. That's where I would look in terms of offense. I don't see a lot of offense in this game, but if there is, I think the Blues are going to get it from the blue line, quite literally. But that's where my mind shifts when I look at this game. I just think it's an evening out type of game to watch out for.
Yeah, so our guy Andre, he picks the Blues money line as well, and so do I. I do think Winnipeg wins this series. Once again, if you haven't seen the playoff preview, please go check it out again on YouTube, Pucks Across Borders, or on Total Apex Twitter account. But I'm right there with you. And listen, I thought that the Blues, yes, Winnipeg did control play for a good portion of that hockey game, but I thought the Blues did exactly what they need to do. You get the Hellebuck early and just fight, right? Not like literally, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think St. Louis wins this game too. I also think if St. Louis wins this game, and again, this logic might be flawed just because of the whole narrative with Hellebuck and blah, blah, blah. But I think if St. Louis wins, I think that Binnington has a night. That's kind of where I'm going with this. And the 5.5 total is low, and the minus 152 for the under is juicy. But the fact that under 5.5 is minus 152, that's talking to me. Like, typically with odds, I am stubborn. Like, if it's a plus number and I think something's going to happen, I'm hammering that plus number. But something about a very low total being minus 152, that's talking to me. And I think that's one of my favorite bets in this game.
A part of me wants to bet the under on 4.5, but I just don't want to be that insane. I don't want to be that insane. Like, I think this type of game, you talk about how they're going to score.
2-1 wouldn't shock me, Mike.
What? Yeah, it wouldn't shock me. Yeah, or 2-1, 3-1 type of game. But I think the way the Blues are going to score, they're going to get some good shots. I'm just painting this picture in my head. They're going to get good shots from the blue line. They're going to, and a few deflected pucks or a few pucks through traffic that Hellebuck just can't pick up, and they're going to find the back of the net. All of a sudden, it's like, oh yeah, they won this game 2-1 or 3-1. That's like, and that you're painting this picture in your head, but you just this is kind of what you're seeing, what you could possibly see.
Yeah. So just for your knowledge, the under 5.5 is plus 190. That's such a disparity. Like minus 152 for 5.5 and plus 190 for 4.5. That's crazy. But it's tempting for sure. I also think, and I listen, I literally just said that I don't like goal scoring props in the playoffs, specifically first round, because random guys have to get you goals come playoff time. That being said, I do think if the Blues are going to make any noise, I really do think Jordan Kyrou has to have a series, and he scored to put them up 3-2, and he is plus 235 to score tonight. So I have my eye on that one. I probably won't bet that personally, but I have my eye on that one for sure. Any final thoughts before we move on to the next game?
You're thinking mentioning player props. I forgot to mention goaltending is a good one to watch here, because the save props, you probably can get good odds on a over on Binnington saves one way or another. I feel this is the type of game where he's going to make a lot of saves, whether they win or lose. So that's just a good one to watch out for. Just because if the Jets run up the score, they're getting a lot of shots on net. And if they're trailing, you can just see them piling up the saves. And then conversely, the under on Hellebuck saves is a good bet to consider, just because the Jets limited shots on that. It was 17 in game one. You're looking at it could be a very low total, even regardless of whether the Blues score or not. Just to say, okay, keep that in mind. Maybe keep that in your back pocket. Say, Hellebuck the under on over saves. I don't know what the line is, but either one of both those, just to keep that in mind.
Well, I'll tell you right now, under. So the total for Hellebuck is 21.5. The under is minus 130. For Binnington, it's 23.5, and the over is minus 108. So that's terrific odds for those.
23 is great for Binnington. That's a low total of shots.
Yeah.
And I just think there's going to be more. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. You jogged my memory on something else just real quick. I was thinking this when I was watching the game. I was thinking about this. Josh Morrissey, he may have he may have had one shot in garbage time, but he had 0 shots for the majority of that game. And I do think something that the Jets need to do more of is something that they do a lot during the regular season, is get shots from the point and just create chaos. And so I'm looking at Josh Morrissey. That's another one. 2 shots on goal for Josh Morrissey is minus 178, which is really juicy. If you want to take the extra shot, 3+ shots for Josh Morrissey is plus 185. And that's something that I really want to see from him, is that's when the Jets really roll, is when he's just firing bombs and it just creates chaos. Even if he doesn't score, it just kind of creates chaos. And I'm looking at that one as well. All right, moving on to Colorado and Dallas. This game, this series, I'm so fascinated by this, and I'm curious to see where you lean. Very quick thoughts on Saturday's game. We got one game left to get to. And Mike did not warn you about this at all, but we do throw out our best bets as well at the end of the night and make a little parlay for fun and see what happens. So that game was 5-1. It was a 2-1 game until Taves scored with 7.5 minutes left or something like that to make it 3-1. Like you talked about, the empty netter and then another goal at the end. So 5-1 is not the score. I thought, and again, as a Dallas Stars writer, and I really do believe this, I actually wrote about this after the game, that was the best game that I have seen them play in a month. Because the 7-game winning streak was not that pretty. They won 7 in a row, but it wasn't pretty. Excuse me. And they lost 7 in a row right after that, and that definitely wasn't pretty. So literally in the last 14 games, this being the 15th, I thought it was the best game that they've played in over a month. Yeah. And that Lehkonen goal, that soccer kick, it does not get more fluky than that. That's just the ultimate bounce. And to win the Stanley Cup, you need bounces like that. That's just the way it is. I thought that McKinnon's goal, the second goal of the game, that one as well, that bounced off of Lyubushkin 10 times. And fluttered past the glove side of Jake. So there you go, 2-0 on two of the flukiest goals like that you'll see. Then the Stars make it 2-1, and listen, Mackenzie Blackwood played out of his mind. He had like 3 or 4 stops that were goals. Like those were goals, and he played out of his mind. Stanley Cup playoffs debut. Who cares? That guy played lights out. And so I don't think this is a whole. I'm hearing people today, and the lines are showing you, man, 150 for Colorado. Like on home ice for Dallas, Dallas had one of the best home records in the league. And if they didn't lose for their last 4 home games, their record would be better, but they did. So it is what it is. I understand that they have no Heiskanen. I understand that they don't have Robertson. I also understand that this is one of the deepest teams in the National Hockey League. And once again, to continue to pump my own tires, I wrote a piece about this too. They can't win a Stanley Cup with no Jason Robertson. I believe that. They can survive for a while. They have guys. And so, like, to me, I think Dallas comes back. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll throw out the odds here, but I understand it. And I picked Dallas to win the series. But hey, I get it. You don't have Heiskanen, you don't have Robertson. Colorado winning the series wouldn't shock anybody, even if you pick Dallas, to win it. But I think Dallas comes out tonight in a big way, and I think that game on Saturday was something to build off of. So just to quickly throw this out here, Dallas plus 125 at home, Colorado minus 150 on the road, of course on the road, minus 1.5 for Colorado is plus 168, plus 1.5 for Dallas is minus 210. The over is 6.5 at plus 106, and the under is minus 130. What do you got, bro? Oh, Andre has Stars money line.
This is interesting because I think I don't like the odds that I'm getting from the Avalanche being a minus 150. You don't want to take minus 150 on the road. That's not a rule of thumb, is that's just not a good bet. But this is just the best bet. The only bet I like on the slate. The over under, I don't like the totals there because I could still see a high scoring game, but at 6.5 is a higher total. You're pushing it there. I don't like the totals there, but I like here's my thing with the Avalanche. This is not necessarily, the Stars, whether they're figuring it out now or not is a different conversation. I think like they played their best game in game 1. They played close in game 1 for the most part until it got away from them. But I think the bigger thing that this tells me is that people are really bought into what the Avalanche are now, and the Avalanche are clicking at the right time. And this is what you want to see if you are the Avalanche, where they're healthy. They have all these players that they've acquired since before the trade deadline, but since when they made the big deal for Mikko Rantanen, every trade has really worked out. You're looking at all these players that have worked in their lineup. When you talk about Natchez, you talk about Charlie Coyle, you talk about all these players, and I think this tells me more about the Avalanche. It tells me more about that the odds makers like what's going on there. And I have to agree, as much as I think the Avalanche, the Stars can even up the series here, the only bet I really like on this slate is the Avalanche money line. I just think that they're clicking at the right time. They have all the pieces in place to win this type of game. Obviously there's the concerns about Heiskanen, Robertson, even if that's not a concern, where you have the depth skater stepping up, you're running into a team that not only has the depth but it has the star power. And I just think that's where my mind goes, where it could be a low scoring game, it could be one of those 2-1 games where the Avalanche win with defense, or they could just outscore them. But I see the only bet I really like here is the Avalanche money line.
Yeah, that's fair. I think so for me, I already kind of said it. I think Dallas wins tonight. This team, I watched this team all year long, and they from January 1st to March 22nd, and if you have read my work in the last month or so, you have heard me like regurgitate that information a million times. From January 1st to March 22nd, this was the best team in the NHL in multiple categories. The first of all being wins. They were top 3 in power play, top 3 in penalty kill, top 3 in goal scoring. I just, you don't just fall off the face of the earth. I feel like they found something in that game 1, and I believe in what they got going into tonight. The 2 quick props before we move on to the last game of the night, the 2 quick props that I like, kind of piggybacking on your goaltender talk from the previous game. Mackenzie Blackwood, 21.5 is his total. I like the over at -114. Now, this one is just a gut feel. Jake Ottinger's total is 25.5. Now, the under is -104. The Dallas Stars have been giving up 30 plus shots a game for weeks now. On Monday, they gave up 24 shots. So to me, if you're winning this game, which I think they will, I think they are repeating what they did on Monday and limit those shots on goal. So I like, this is under 25.5, man. When you got Nathan McKinnon and McCarr, like, I understand the risk, but I do feel -104. I think over 21.5 saves at -114 is not quite a gimme, but I feel like that's a pretty solid. I think that's pretty solid.
It really just depends on how this game plays out, right? Because like I'm trying to picture in my head like, okay, what kind of game this is going to be, and then you're wondering if it's going to be because I think the under on Andre saves is a good one, just because the Avalanche are a team that loves to shoot the puck on net. They love getting volume and shot volume, but this is the type of game where you see the Stars defense clamping down a bit. If there's just the 2 prop bets I would look at are Wyatt Johnston anytime goal scorer, and maybe you look at McCarr getting a goal here, anytime goal scorer. I don't know if you're getting good odds of McCarr, but Wyatt Johnston, I think he had 8 goals last season in the playoffs. He hasn't scored in a while, but if the Stars are coming back in this game, I think it's got to be with him, and that's where my mind shifts.
Plus 210 for Wyatt Johnson to score.
Yeah,
whoa, Kel McCarr plus 280.
Yeah, so I would. Yeah, so if you heading into this game, if you want a strategy, I would say bet both of those. Don't do a parlay. Don't put them together, but bet both of those and see where that goes. Because I think between the 2 of them, I think one of them is going to get a big goal in this type of game, and then that's gonna be a good payout for between one of the 2.
Yeah, 100%, absolutely. All right, moving on to the last game of the night, and then we will wrap up the show with our best bets. The Edmonton Oilers in LA. -130 are the Kings. That's now -132. So some LA money coming in. +110 are the Oilers now. -1.5 for the Kings is +198. +1.5 for the Oilers, -250. The over 5.5 at -104. The under is -118. My guy Andre, let me just double check this. Andre is Kings money line. He also likes the under in this game, and he likes a 60-minute draw, which I think is fascinating. So for this game to go to overtime, let me just pull up what that is really quickly. +320 for this game to go to overtime. So that's my guys' bets. I'll keep this one short and simple, man. I like the Kings to roll tonight. I don't like what I'm seeing from the Oilers. The health of the Oilers scares me. I also the narrative of this series. This is super chalky. everybody is saying this, and I normally that kind of weirds me out, but I agree with everybody. I think this is the Kings' time. I think the Oilers are out in this round, and I think the Kings. I'll even save you guys time if you're like super busy tomorrow or on Wednesday. You don't have time to watch the show. Just know I'm picking the Kings on game 2 as well. I think they go to Edmonton up 2-0, and I'm really not going to add anything more than that. I think Kings win tonight, -130. What do you got?
I see a split in the first 2 games. A part of me wants to bet the Oilers here just because of the odds you're getting. I this is one of those where it's like, okay, which team do I like versus which team do I just think is going to win? The Oilers are one of those teams. It's like, yeah, they've had the Kings number, but I mean, I look at this game and I'm like, the Kings are just heading into game 1. They look like the better team. Whether they will look like the better team by the end of the series is a different conversation. But I like the Kings. I like them to win game 1. I don't like the odds, so that's a different story. But I like the Kings there, and I think both teams have been playing better defense as of late. I know the Oilers' defense is banged up, but I like the under in that one as well. I just think, it's one of those games where the Kings win like 3-1 or something like that, or 3-2 probably more accurately.
And that's how the Kings win. I mean, like besides like when they play like the Kraken or something, like they win. And sorry, Kraken, you're not in the playoffs and you're still catching shrapnel from me. But I 100%. I'm right there with you, and that's a good price. Like -118 for under 5.5. I'll take that all day long. We are going a little bit long, so let's move on. I think we both are on the same page for that tonight. All right. Time for the best bets. Once again, brought to you by First Round Collectibles. FirstRoundCollectibles.com. Promo code SportsAddict for 10% off your order. They have an ongoing sale up to 50%, 50% off selected cards. And with our promo code SportsAddict, you get 10% off of any card. On sale, not on sale, doesn't matter. That's up to 60% off selected cards. FirstRoundCollectibles.com. Promo code SportsAddict. That's FirstRoundCollectibles.com. All right. Andre. Actually, I'll let you go first. He gave me like 3 different best bets in case other people, in case like one of us take them. So I'll let you go first, man. What is your favorite bet? If you pick one, we'll make a little parlay. We'll see what happens. What's your best bet for tonight?
I guess to save some time, then I'll do my best bet. I like the Blues evening up the series, so betting the +160 there. I know it's not the best idea to have your best bet be an underdog bet.
I like it.
And then to save some time, I'll parlay. Let's do the over on the Capitals Canadiens game. I like the over there. I like the under on the Blues and Jets game. I just think that evens out. So you're betting those 2. And then the third leg of the parlay, I like the Avalanche money line. I know that you're not getting great odds, but that's just like the one that I would add into the card just to just as like the third part of this leg to see if that hits.
So what we're gonna do, and that's totally my fault for not being like this was happening. So your pick, my pick, and Andre's pick. That's our 3-leg parlay.
Oh, okay. I thought I was doing a 3-leg parlay.
No. We're all gonna add it together. Yeah, that's my fault, bro. I didn't like explain that properly.
I've been recording. I'm a little tired, I guess.
Under 5.5 for Blues and Jets, you said, and Colorado money line, just to throw it out there, that's +545. So I like those odds. I'm glad that I let you go first because Andre's best bet was Blues money line as well. But his backup was the under in Kings and Oilers, which all 3 of us agreed on. My best bet. Oh, do I do it with the Dallas Stars? You know what? It's going to come from that game, but I'm not going to pick the money line. My best bet is Mackenzie Blackwood over 21 and a half saves. I think the Stars produce a lot of shots. I think it's a low scoring game, but I do like that over 21 and a half Mackenzie Blackwood. So for the parlay, once again, these odds are not courtesy. I gotta stop saying that. They're not paying me anything, but it is on FanDuel. So whatever sports book you got, the Blues plus 164, the under 5.5 in Edmonton, Los Angeles minus 118, and Mackenzie Blackwood over 21 and a half saves minus 114. Love it. Absolutely love it. Mike, thank you so much for joining me. Tell the people, where can they find your work and what are you currently working on?
I mean, make sure to check out all the good work at the Hockey Writers. You could find a lot of my stuff there. There's Islanders coverage, there's NHL coverage, there's AHL coverage too. I'm trying to cover the Wilkes-Barre Penguins versus Lehigh Valley Phantoms first round matchup. We'll see if the PR people get back in touch with me, but if they cover that series, that would be pretty interesting, but a lot of AHL coverage too. I also host the Hockey Writers Ice Time podcast. We discuss some of the big ideas around the NHL. So we don't dive into the matchups or recap the weekend per se, but we kind of look ahead and look at some big topics around the league. So a lot of NHL stuff in general as well. The playoffs are here, so you could find all that stuff all over the place. The Hockey Writers, make sure to the Ice Time podcast, check out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and make sure to give it a listen, because mean a lot if you did.
Absolutely. To everybody, I'm just sorry that you got to write about the Islanders, man. You're such a great writer, and you got to write about that tire fire that's going on down there. But you're doing good. My buddy's an Islanders fan, and I'm just like, oh, bro, that's tough.
I don't root for the Islanders. I just write about them. Like I covered Bridgeport this season. They won 4 home games. So I covered them, writing that they only won 4 home games. It was hilarious. It was funny, like how bad they were. Just like But yeah, they were one of the teams I covered this past season. I covered Hartford as well, and both teams didn't make the playoffs. I don't know what that says about my coverage, but here we are.
Shout out to Hartford, man. That city it has character. I'll put it that way. But everybody, thank you so much for joining us. As always, once again, shout out to FirstRoundCollectibles.com, promo code SportsAddict. Shout out to TotalApexSports.com. Lots of great playoff coverage in both leagues, basketball and hockey, happening now. Once again, we appreciate you. We're going to try to keep these shows more regular. Life's crazy right now. But either way, we will see you next time.